I think it's kind of ridiculous that we still have anybody putting any value into pro day workouts.
Like the college player pro days?
Right. Like where you know that the coach has got these exact plays the player needs to learn and run. They get to practice these exact plays, and they get to show you what they look like when they are the most prepared. Right. I don't know about you. It makes me think of Teddy Bridgewater, who had a terrible pro day, and everyone was like, oh, my gosh, Teddy Bridgewater fell all the way to the Vikings.
I can't say I remember Teddy Bridgewater's pro day, but I'll take your word for it.
That's just,
you definitely hear about that. Yeah, like this guy had a good one or a bad one.
That's just one that sticks out to me in history as one we've seen like Teddy Bridgewater's career play out. And overall, I think, I think he wasn't a bad pick. If he hadn't had that terrible injury with the Vikings, who knows what his career could have been.
True. I've always liked him as a player. He's apparently a good coach.
But what is, I guess the pro day, how do you compare that to a normal job? Would that be for an actor just like having set lines to learn to come in and say your lines? For a programmer,
have it like portfolios and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess a programmer too could have like a portfolio, but it wouldn't be just like, watch me resolve this bug,
in real time. Watch me do this.
Yeah, I can troubleshoot for you. Like I can build this website better than anyone's ever built a website.
A counselor. All right. Yeah. Fix my problems with my mom right now.
Yeah.
Just tell them they're just asked on the spot. All right.
Like landscapers, look how clean these lines on the lawn are. It's just perfect.
So the pro day I don't understand. I think the idea is more about trying to get some more access to the player. It's almost like, it's almost like a situation like you're going to see a show you don't really want to go see, but everyone is going to the show. So you're kind of like going to it just for the social aspects before and after. An event, something like that, where you didn't really want to go, but you liked everyone that wanted to go. So you're like, oh, I'll go.
That's true. Okay. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Right. A trivia night someone didn't want to go to. A music bingo night. A brisk.
I never relate to that. I'll go to trivia every night.
What about a brisk?
What's that?
Anyway, okay, so what do we have on the show? What do we have coming up on the show?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about some Elite Eight. We got a couple NFL stories we want to chat about. Going to get into F1, actually. We're going to start exploring that. And then I believe you have something else?
We're going to have Daredevil Born Again coverage.
Daredevil Born Again.
Usual.
To Wit and Grit, where Ian, Sean, and Elliot break down sports betting, pop culture, or whatever's on their minds.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Any betting recommendations or discussions are not financial advice. Please gamble responsibly and check your local laws and regulations regarding sports betting. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537, or visit ncpgambling.org. Let's talk about the Sweet 16 is done. The Elite Eight is 2 games from done. I cleaned up yesterday. I didn't do a lot. I went in big on one bet. And it was the money lines on Duke and Florida.
Yeah, we were talking earlier in the morning yesterday, and you talked me into it. Well, you didn't try too hard. You just mentioned it. And I was like, you know what? That's a good idea. So I went ahead and tied the two together, both Florida and Duke, and ended up making a little bit of money yesterday too. It was nice. I went out, did some coding. Was actually working on the website a little bit. So stay tuned for that. Had a couple beers and made a little bit of money. It was a good day.
Yeah, and the Florida game was a whole lot of fun to watch at the end, except for Max streaming. I don't think they were ready for that volume. I don't know. Mine was skipping. I was getting to watch the game in clips. It would just pause for a little bit. That would show me like 15, 20 seconds.
By that point, I made it over to my place, my neighborhood haunt SIP, and it was on one of the TVs there, and they didn't have any issues, thankfully. It was a good finish.
Yeah, that was a really good game. I didn't really stay tuned for the Duke game. I had to cash out of that one early. I left the bet going, but
same, yeah.
Mentally cashed out.
I hear what you're saying.
Well, let's talk about why do we have to talk about the Giants every week?
Because they keep doing things. And
they're spacing them out a week each.
Yeah. They bring in Jameis Winston on a 2-year deal, and you think, oh wow, that's nice. Jameis found a home. That's a good bridge for the Giants. Jameis gets this, another chapter. And then they turn around and bring in Russell Wilson on a 1-year deal. And it's like, what is happening? They still have the third pick in the draft, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right.
So all right, they bring in Jameis, and now it's I guess Russell to start, which is bizarre to me. Like, and the difference in contracts is kind of interesting, isn't it? Is Jameis like I think $4 million a year or something, and Russ is like 20, something like that?
Yeah, they clearly paid Russ as a guy that, like, I think Russ wanted a guarantee he could start, and so I think they wanted to pay him like a starter.
Is Russell Wilson that much? Yes, he's better than Jameis Winston. Is he that much better? Like, what, $16 million better?
That's a good question.
I mean, anyway, but the fact remains they still have the third pick in the draft. The fact remains I don't think Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston is a long-term solution for the franchise. I mean, do you?
No, I do not. And I think that, it started off as the Giants love Aaron Rodgers. They wanted to take a big swing. The Giants owner was not really happy with the GM and the coach, but he said they were getting one more year. So they had to take a big swing. They try to say, we will keep Aaron Rodgers in New York. We will just put him in the other locker room, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, they didn't want to be patient enough, or he just really wasn't interested. Most of the reports have been
that's certainly not happening now. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. But you know what I still do see happening is them still taking a quarterback at 3. I still think Sanders is their guy. I don't think the fact that they signed Russ changes that. Maybe it might get someone to give them a trade offer that maybe they wouldn't have if they're like, well, hey, the Giants just got Russ. Maybe they're more interested in moving this pick now. So maybe that was a little bit of the strategy there. Like, let's see if we can pump up the trade value a little bit just by sheer volume of offers. But I think they're sticking there, and I think they're going to take Sanders still.
Okay, so and we were going to have a conversation about this. So do you have any mocks or anything to back you up? Do you have any stats?
No. This is just me. This is kind of how I see it playing out. What I think the Giants are doing.
Well, I've got a couple of mocks that go the other way. Matt Miller's mock draft has Shedeur Sanders going to the Giants at 3, despite signing Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. So that supports your argument, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I saw that one. The Athletic mock draft, even before the Russell Wilson signing, had the Giants passing on Sanders, suggesting they were truly never locked in on him. I don't know. I don't have any history for these mockers. It's not a mock-a-doos. I don't have any history for these mockers to tell you which ones are more accurate. They're just, I'm telling you the names I know. Mel Kiper has Shedeur dropping out of the top 5. He has the Jets taking Sanders, which I think would be very interesting, and just have Justin Fields so frustrated. He's like, can I go anywhere? He's like, I'm not even old. They won't stop drafting my replacements.
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, if you're saying that I've got some experts that are on my side, then I guess I feel good about that. Like I said, it just doesn't seem that Winston or Wilson would be the long-term solution. So it makes.
But that doesn't mean Sanders is. I mean, they could be punting until Manning gets here in that draft class. Everyone says the next draft class is gonna be a lot better. Yeah. I think paying $20 million to Russell Wilson and not taking like Hunter at 3, or what if Carter falls to 3? You're not going to take Abdul Carter for Shedeur Sanders now? Like, don't you think there's 3 really premier talents that would push Sanders out of the conversation if they don't need a quarterback right now? Because you can't draft him at 3 and then draft one again next year as easily.
Yeah, no, certainly not.
So
Yeah, certainly
you
not.
sign Russell Wilson, who you think he can get you to the playoffs. And if he gets hurt or something, or you have to bench him, he's just too old. Jameis Winston, you still have a very good shot at the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're doing. They're saying we're going to make the playoffs, save our jobs this year, and go after a quarterback next year.
I think it is a play for their jobs, I think, but I don't know if that stops them from getting Sanders, because I think Sanders honestly might buy them time with their jobs, saying like, look, we got to give this kid a year to develop. Like, I think it might buy them 1 year drafting Sanders.
I've got a question for you.
Okay.
And I honestly can't think of any. Can you think of any coaches that were on the hot seat, drafted a rookie, and got to keep their job after that? Like,
I mean,
if they drafted a rookie that high, did they keep their job? Like, several Bears coaches come to mind.
well, yeah, right.
You know, I'm just saying it hasn't worked for other people to help them keep their jobs by taking a rookie 3rd overall. So I think if they want to actually keep these jobs, they should try something else. Just get better.
It's an interesting like approach to it, though. You know, it could be a chip on their side if they want to play it that way.
Is Sanders as a rookie going to be better than Russell and Jameis enough to save their jobs?
I don't think he would play. I don't think he would play. I think that would be a developmental year, and that would be what would, buy time for the coach and the GM, is them saying like, no, now we need to watch Sanders on the field. Like,
I just think if you take a quarterback, if you take a player 3rd overall, you're playing them. You should play.
No, then I don't. No, not necessarily, man. Not with a quarterback.
Yeah, he worked really well for Trey Lance, who's now in the CFL. 3rd overall, did not play.
Yeah.
Worked great. Putting high expectations on somebody who can't produce in their rookie year. What could go wrong?
Well, it can go so wrong. Like, I don't know, man. Look at Zach Wilson as a rookie. Just terrible.
It could go exactly. And he was, the second quarterback off? I'm just saying, Jaden Daniels working out and going 2nd overall last year is not the norm. It's not the norm.
No, it's not. Yeah, so you shouldn't expect it. So you should expect that you should be okay
go
with them
later.
sitting.
Yeah, Sanders should go later. If the Giants want to take him, they should trade out for someone who wants Travis Hunter. And they should trade back a little bit and get him if they're going to get him. But I just think that your boyfriend, Daxon, might be more in their cards.
Daxon.
Yeah.
You're doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart, yes.
Yeah. So I think Jackson Dart, a quarterback like that, somebody a little bit later, maybe a Jalen Milroe. Let's see. I had something on Milroe, who, by the way, one of our good friends, Drew, we call him Firefighter Drew. He's a diehard Alabama fan.
And a firefighter.
Yeah. But
we don't just call him that.
We don't just call him that. That's just what he does. He thinks anyone who believes in Milroe is crazy. He doesn't know. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're wrong.
Yeah.
I'll send him people who have positive praise for Milroe, and he'll be like, fire that guy. Get somebody to fire him.
Get him out of here.
So Colin Cowherd says an NFL executive confided to him that the Pittsburgh Steelers really like Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, and that the Steelers front office will consider drafting him in the 1st round.
Okay.
Is just grabbing a player from Alabama the move now? They were like, Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl. The Steelers are like, we're a defensive team. We need an SEC quarterback who's used to riding a good defense to a championship. Is that what they're looking for now?
Could be. If it's not Aaron Rodgers, which, I mean, that's like really the last potential spot for him. So.
Not really. The Vikings still remain an option because they've left the door open. If you heard the GM talking about how he was going to let the coach handle it, they've definitely left the door open. They just aren't going to do it now because they want to give their young quarterback a chance. But all they have to say is more injured than we thought, taking longer to recover.
Yeah.
You don't lose face for being injured.
Yeah.
And then bringing in long in the tooth Aaron Rodgers for 1 year. It's not like he should just demand to leave. I think he just started drinking. How old is he?
Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Oh.
The rookie quarterback.
Oh, I don't know. I was like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers just started drinking.
No, he just started drinking something else. I'm talking about JJ McCarthy. Like, how old is JJ McCarthy? Is he 20? No. He's 22. Like, he just started drinking.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Some people he could just be like, I mean, honestly, he's probably got friends that are super seniors that are still in school. So it's not like he's like vying for clout. It's him versus Brett Rippon right now.
Speaking of young quarterbacks, we got Drake May. Just got some good news. And you and I can take a little bit of a victory lap.
We called it. I mean, he's with one dinner and he signed.
Yeah. Stefon Diggs to the Patriots. 3 years, $69 million. Nice.
What a deal. I heard if you look through the contract talk, it's really a 1-year deal.
Really? Why is that? I haven't done that much research on it.
I didn't get the specifics, but they said that's how it's structured.
It's just kind of structured that way, front heavy. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's we talked about it when we were kind of, thinking about it could be a good move. And again, it is a good move. I think now the offense is clearly going to run through him. And we've seen that can go a couple different ways. It can either work pretty well, or if it stops working, it can cause drama and some friction in the locker room. But I think it's a good move that the Patriots needed to make, honestly. Even speaking as a Dolphins fan, I think it makes sense for them, and I think it probably will work out and help Drake May come along a little bit. Thing is, they still need to get him some protection. He still doesn't have time, and that's going to be a problem even with Diggs. I mean, you still see it, even the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill and Tua with a quick release, he's still rushed, and that offense still isn't what it could be. You've got to give these quarterbacks time.
The thing that'll help with Diggs is Diggs had to leave Buffalo because Josh Allen evolved and needed to be able to feed whoever was open and not have to feed a number one wide receiver.
Yeah.
Drake May is in his second year, and he needs to evolve and just get good at the game. So having a guy you can force feed the ball to right now is probably the best next step for Drake May.
Yeah, and it's a guy that constantly either gets 1,000 yards or is on pace for well over 1,000 before getting injured. He does have injury concerns, Stefon Diggs.
I mean, he's coming back from an injury.
Exactly. Yeah, so I mean, you do have to factor that in. I don't know if it's certainly not a fix-all for the Patriots offense, but it helps. It really helps.
Let's do another bold prediction. There's a lot of ifs here. If the Cardi B and Stefon Diggs news is confirmed throughout the next season, and they make the playoffs somehow, Chiefs-Patriots playoff game, Taylor Swift versus Cardi B.
Are they dating? Did I miss that?
Oh yeah, well, there's rumors that she was that she was with Diggs.
Okay. Hope she likes Boston.
In Houston. I mean, dude, there's that video of her and Robert Kraft getting along and hanging out and joking.
Really?
Yeah. So who knows? What if Cardi B's the reason he went to the Patriots? She might have been swinging for the home
New
team.
England.
Yeah, she might be like, I want the Patriots on top again.
Hell yeah.
Now we're doing a lot. We don't even know who Cardi B's teams are, but we're just saying that's.
Yeah.
I don't
know.
fun
to speculate.
It's not nothing. It's not nothing. At this point, when you're getting offered more money to go somewhere and you're hooking up with a really successful star who, if she also wanted you to go there, it's like, go. Plus, you can keep your house in Houston. With that kind of contract, it's not like he's sold a place.
Right. I think the Patriots probably still have one move left. They still have a little bit of money to spend. They've shored up the defense. This is good for the offense, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do one more thing. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to be, but
well, we've got the draft, so we'll see.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So,
well, let's go back to the quarterback situation.
Sure.
So Cam Ward had his pro day. I wanted to talk about some of what you hear from ESPN and everybody, what I've heard over and over is Cam Ward would have been ranked above Bo Nix, but below everybody else in last year's draft, which is crazy to say after what Bo Nix did in his rookie year. Literally broke franchise records with a team that's been around since 1960. But whatever, we'll just write that off for a guy who hasn't done anything yet, and we'll just start it's the same anti-Denver bias that these Connecticut places have always had, in my opinion. Peyton Manning wins a Super Bowl. Well, because you had a defense. Oh, I forgot. No other team has a defense in the whole league. That's really cool.
Yeah, just them.
Yeah, just them. They were the only ones allowed to have defense, and they were the only ones with money. So
it's not fair.
Oh, wait, it was a salary cap league. It's not even like the Yankees or the Dodgers that are just buying all their players. So Cam Ward's superpower, according to reports, awareness and creativity. Okay. Pocket presence, pre-snap adjustments. Good at 4 verticals, mastery. So he likes to chuck it downfield, but that comes with some Russell Wilson issues, right? Stay in the pocket too long. So will he be getting the ball out? How good will his release be? He's got the RPO, blitz recognition, right? So like he's good in that situation. You might have to be in Tennessee because we think that he might be going to the Titans. So I have my opinion on how good of a fit that is. Brian Callahan, the head coach of the Titans, if you forgot, if you live a life filled with a lot of details, you may have forgotten about the Titans altogether. They have Brian Callahan. He worked with Joe Burrow, another quarterback who thrives in the shotgun and balances structure with improvisation. Might be a natural fit, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to describe this play style, too. I like that.
Yeah, so if he used Joe Burrow as a rookie, and they did not do poorly as a rookie, by the way.
No. Yeah, that was a really good rookie season.
So I think it's safe to say that Ward is probably going to go first to the Titans unless Tennessee is offered. If the Falcons offered a couple picks and Kirk Cousins, what would you do if you were the Titans GM?
Probably still Cam Ward.
Go for the young one?
Yeah. And I think it's a good talent. I think it's a really good talent. I mean, the comp to Joe Burrow is strong, and the familiarity with Callahan is strong.
I'm only joking here, but the Giants will probably trade for Kirk Cousins in a week just so we have to talk about them some more. Their new plan isn't to win games; it's to win the coverage.
Yeah, then they'll also sign Aaron Rodgers.
They're gonna have to. They're gonna be like, we don't have a punter anymore. Jameis is our punter now. We ran out of.
Where's Tommy DeVito gonna go, man?
He's still there for right now. If they draft Shadir, he's out of there. Or he's on the practice squad. Yeah,
he's got to be sweating. Get those pizza deals in now.
At least one local fan that we went to school with. Shout out Candace Brady, local Giants fan. She said justice for Tommy DeVito and did like the
nice. Love it. That was such a fun time in the NFL, man.
Tommy DeVito is or was what Taylor Heineke was for the Commanders. Like every NFC East team is going through there. This guy came out of nowhere. We hope he's the next Tom Brady, but then like after he's been traded twice, we realized he wasn't. And he is who we thought he was. So, yeah, I think Cam Ward is probably going to the Tennessee Titans. You get this GM who's been cooking with the Chiefs for years, watching them win. He gets to come in. And if he can solve his quarterback problem with his very first draft pick, he gets to basically play easy mode on this game that everyone else had to start out on hard or difficult, just to use a video game reference. Like, right? I mean, if he gets Cam Ward, and how much does this feel like the Cam Newton pick?
I'm not sure.
A guy with we think is a very high ceiling who needs to be polished, but has shown some superhuman type running plays and things like that. I mean,
I guess that's fair.
And like, who was behind Cam Newton in that draft?
I don't remember.
Bingo.
Yeah.
There were people, but the fact that you don't remember is what I'm trying to say is like,
okay.
This might be a draft like that where a guy named Cam goes first overall and then everybody else moves on. True.
No, I think he's going to be pretty good. Well, and I think Tennessee will probably stick with their guns and grab him.
I know who was drafted right after Cam Newton.
Who's that?
Von Miller.
John you would know
very
that.
First draft pick. Yeah.
Yep. Nice.
So whoever gets Abdul Carter, good luck. If he's half as good as Von Miller, you did it.
You got anything else on Cam Ward?
I think that's about it. I really have on him. I don't know much about him. That's just what I was able to piece together from several different reports and what people say. It just seems like he is clearly the number one this year. There's no like last year they tried to say, oh, Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels going first overall. And everyone was like, the Bears have to take Caleb.
Yeah.
They're already the team that took Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
Like, You've got to
Of course
take the
they
guy
will.
everyone thinks you will take.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course they will. Yeah.
Even if Jaden had worked out, Caleb Williams might have ended up being better, and Bears fans would lament it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we haven't even named this segment yet, but we want to start a new segment called what would we call it?
I don't know. We will have to
Effing around
workshop
with F1.
it. That's not bad off the top of the head. But yeah, about F1 racing, about Formula One. Something that I think we both are interested in. Ian, you're pretty new to it, right?
Yes, I'm learning about F1. You're more in the world of it. So
Right.
kind of a role reversal if you listen to the podcast all the time, where usually I'm kind of telling him about stuff. I'm putting on my student cap and I'm learning about F1.
Yeah, and so we're gonna kind of just jump in where the season is right now. We had about a week ago the Chinese Grand Prix, and things went pretty much they went smooth the whole time, I guess I should say. Oscar Piastri was the driver that led the entire race. There was only one pit for all of the top 5 finisher drivers, and most drivers only pitted once. So I guess shout out to the crews, to the cars. That's pretty good when you only need to pit once for a race. But like I said, Piastri led that whole time. Lando Norris, a name that a lot of people might know, did have a moment late where he was creeping up, trying to overtake Piastri, but he had an issue with his brakes. So his team came over the radio and said, don't do anything stupid. We have second place locked. Let's keep that. Let's not risk first and have something horrible happen and then, crash or fall out of the top 5 entirely. So that was cool. A little bit of a battle for second between Lando Norris and George Russell, but Russell ended up, falling back after the pit. He maintained second for a quick moment after Lando pitted, but Lando caught back up, finished second place. So that was cool. The more interesting bit, I feel like, though, is the race that's coming up, the Japanese Grand Prix. So there was just Max Verstappen. You may have heard that name before, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So in racing and F1, there are teams. So teams kind of score points, and that's how you do the rankings at the end of the season, this sort of thing. So Max Verstappen's teammate, Liam Lawson, actually is being demoted prior to this race, and someone new is being called up.
So how does that? So what does that mean to be demoted? What does that mean?
So he's being put on a different team. The Visa Cash App Racing Bulls is where he's going. So it's not going to be the team that Verstappen is going to be scoring for. So it's the same ownership, but a different kind of sub team. So he's not going to be, racing for alongside Max Verstappen now. This new kid, Yuki Tsunoda, is going to be stepping up and racing for the Japanese Grand Prix. And Verstappen's not super happy about it because this is, it's his teammate. It's been his teammate for this whole season. There was a post on social media likening this kind of sudden move to bullying. But team officials are coming out and saying that, they think they made a mistake with their decision making involving Liam Lawson, but not for the demotion, for even having him get this far. They're saying he probably shouldn't have even been racing, after the Australian Grand Prix. There was an incident on the first race weekend in Australia where Liam suffered a turbo failure and he couldn't complete a lap in one of the practice sessions. And from that moment on, apparently his confidence was just kind of shaken. And from there, he couldn't really recover on the track. Excuse me. Team official Marco, Helmut Marco, says that when he tried to push the pace, mistakes were made, and that's just the kind of thing that they can't have happening at this point in the season. When scoring is of utmost importance, these first place finishes matter. So you're getting this kid Yuki who gets to step up and have his debut in Japan, his home country. So. That's a pretty cool side of things. I think that your teammates with Max Verstappen, who everyone knows, you've got him, while he's a big profile, he's got to feel a certain type of way about you because he's kind of expressed a bit of displeasure with the situation. So he's got to be kind of looking over his shoulder, like, even though it's his teammate, like, you're not my guy, Liam. I don't really know who you are. But that your team officials are behind you saying, we think you probably should have been up here all along anyway. And Liam wasn't our guy. So it's just a weird whirlwind of emotions that this Yuki Tsunoda guy's got to be feeling. I'm kind of rooting for him, honestly.
So you're rooting for the guy that's kind of getting the call up.
Yeah. I think it's a fun story. Yeah. And this is, I haven't been following super closely all season. I'm kind of getting caught up over this past week or so with some of the storylines, but this is one that really caught my attention. So it's one I'm going to be following. The race is April 4th, I believe. So I'll have my eye on that.
Yeah, and we'll have more on an F1 betting guide next episode once I figure out how.
Yeah. We'll polish up the segment a little bit, but just wanted to kind of start talking about it, get Ian into it a little bit, kind of get you guys familiar with a couple of the names, stuff like that. So kind of stick with us there.
What do you think about effing around with F1?
I think that's pretty funny. Yeah.
I went to our producer to ask for a couple more. It said flat out with F1, full throttle F1, Wit and Grit effing fast F1. Pushing limits with F1, lights out and laughing. I don't like any of those.
No,
I like the one
your off the cuff was better. Yeah,
I think we'll just stick with that. Effing around with F1.
I like it.
We also want to start doing some more WNBA coverage, obviously, but well, okay, it's not obvious. We want to start doing more WNBA coverage, Obviously, we can't start quite yet because the WNBA made the decision a few years ago to start their season once the NBA was done and not try to compete at the same time. And I think it helped because when you had Caitlin Clark come out, Angel Reese, and some names that you knew, they show up and it was like, oh, hey, nothing else is on. It's baseball and this, So if you wanted something that was basketball related, it put it more in the spotlight. So I thought that was a good move for the sport as a whole. But,
and there's a really the star power is becoming more and more of a draw for that league in a really good way, I think. And I think it could be fun to talk about that a little bit more, like you mentioned. Felt horrible hearing the news about Juju Watkins taking it to NCAA for a moment. At the start of that tournament, tore ACL. That's just awful. I mean, she was the best player in the sport. That sucked.
Yeah.
And what a time! Never a good time for that to happen. But right as the tournament's getting underway, that's just horrible.
It's never what you want to see for like a good product as a sports fan in general.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter which team you're on.
Yeah. It's bad for the tournament, bad for the sport. Unfortunate, but talking more W would be a lot of fun.
I heard Elon Musk was going to get everybody metal hamstrings, so it's fine.
It sounds crazy. I don't know.
Sounds made up. Sounds like I just
it does
made
sound
it up.
Like it.
I did made it up. It's made up.
The name of the segment was better than that.
That's the made up thought of the day. Would you be shocked? Honestly, would you be shocked if he did?
Not really. Nothing would shock me anymore.
Okay, just checking. I think it's time to switch to. Is it time to go to Daredevil?
That's exactly what I was about to ask you.
This is your spoiler warning for episodes 5 and 6 of Daredevil. Wait, does it even say 5 and 6? I need to. Oh, here, you talk about it while I got to update it.
Like he's saying, spoiler warning. If you don't want to know what's happening in Daredevil Born Again, this is, I guess, your sign to turn us off or mark it so you can come back after you've watched the episodes and hear what we think and what we want to say about it. But spoiler warning, we are going to talk about story events that happen and not hold back. So there you go.
Any excitement people might have about the Avengers releasing 25 random names, I have more of that for Daredevil Born Again. This show has been fantastic. It's been an adult show that we want. It's not quite as good as The Penguin was, in the sense of The Penguin really met comic book TV storytelling where like HBO level, like Sopranos type storytelling can meet. Like they allowed it to really be its own thing. They didn't try to overstuff it with too many heroes or something like that, because they're not doing a big connected universe. They're doing the Batman and its entire universe is one separate entity from what James Gunn is doing.
Right.
The best thing Warner Brothers has done forever. So I digress and go back to what we're talking about, which is Daredevil. And it's just good to see that they didn't let the fact that more family-friendly things are coming out on the horizon and other things are they're letting projects be unique. They're letting Agatha, right? WandaVision. Those shows were allowed to be the way they were. Loki was allowed to be the way it was. And that's what let some of these shows fail, like Echo. Nobody's like, oh, man, you got to watch Echo. Echo, they allowed it to be what it was going to be, but then they gutted it. Yeah. And I don't think the showrunner probably took much of a hit on that in their career, because it's hard to say, like, well, I made 6 episodes. They took 2 of them away.
Yeah.
and made me into a 4-episode mini story because I had a character nobody knew, but frankly, it was a disabled character that they pretty much just took all of their story away. They left her story. They just took all the fluff away from it.
Right. She popped up in Hawkeye in the Kate Bishop Hawkeye show, and then they were supposed to give her, like you were saying, the full-fledged season, and it ended up being a 4-episode run or something.
I think it was like 4 episodes, 6 max. I mean, they took about 2 episodes off because there was going to be more Daredevil involved.
But it had a bit of a tie-in. I mean, she Fisk and Daredevil were both in it, right?
Daredevil, yeah. So what happened was Daredevil's in it at the very beginning, and he just randomly runs into her while they're both doing the vigilante thing or being out. Like,
and they
crime.
Spar. Yeah,
they just fight and he leaves.
Yeah, and
the show originally was going to have him a lot more involved.
Okay, and I think and what they ended up doing is more using him as a device to serve as like, this is kind of the level she's on. Like, you guys know who Daredevil is, you know what Daredevil's capable of, and like she can go toe to toe with this kind of person.
They wanted to give validity to this person.
Yeah.
Why am I watching this show? That's why it's the first episode. Like, they fought Daredevil, and Daredevil just kind of left.
Yeah.
So that's why exactly what they did. Because I think Daredevil's supposed to be more involved as a lawyer, probably. But they saved all of that for the reshoots in Born Again, I'm sure, because that's the first episode, is them confronting and kind of talking about all that.
Yeah, and you mentioned to me earlier that Daredevil was supposed to be 6 episodes and then got extended into 9 or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think they added like 2 episodes.
Okay, episode 5 this week it was good. I liked both episodes this week, but 5 kind of felt like as close as what they'll get to a bottle episode, the bank robbery.
It is a bottle episode.
Yeah.
Great terminology if you guys don't know it, but yeah, it's a self-contained episode. If you knew nothing about Daredevil except for like who the character was, and you haven't seen Daredevil Born Again yet, you could watch just episode 5 of Daredevil Born Again, skip the recap. You could just watch episode 5 alone, and you'll get an idea of what the show is like without any spoilers, because they could have put that anywhere in the season. Yeah,
exactly. It was It did let us know, it reinforced the connection to the greater MCU. The Kamala Khan mentioned, that's her dad that's in the bank, that is the financial advisor or the loan officer or whatever it was.
Right.
But yeah, that's Kamala Khan's father. And he mentions his daughter. He's got the little Funko Pop of her there. So we know she's out in San Francisco doing something.
Yeah, well, they showed her. She's been assembling the Young Avengers. She was at the end of Hawkeye recruiting her. They mentioned going out to California to get Ant-Man's daughter, I think, Cassie Lang.
Yep. So just I like that their kids still reminding us of things like that. But yeah, that episode was fun. I liked 6 better, I gotta say. 6, we got the fight with Fisk and then the prisoner down there. I thought that was
Let
me
put
cool.
some closing thoughts on episode 5. I liked what episode 5 did.
Yeah.
As a bottle episode. I usually hate bottle episodes. I'm going to say that up front. But the bank heist was a really good way to do this episode in a way that, like, one, for what we were talking about with the reshoots, we know they added the new episodes on the front and the end. Most likely they'll have more to do with Karen Page, who was not included in the original show at all.
Right.
So the bank heist shows you exactly why they did the reshoots, and it shows you exactly why they released episode 6 on the same night. They were worried that in the age of streaming, when you don't have a specific time and a specific network and a DVR set for a new show, like now you just watch it if you think of it when you decide to open it up. They thought they couldn't take the hit of releasing episode 5 alone, or they'd lose some of their more casual audience.
Right.
And they must have added the reshoots in part because this would have been like the 3rd episode. If you take out episode 1's fight and everything that went along with that, how that went down, you would have White Tiger's death and one like foray out as a Daredevil so far in this show. Like, I think they would definitely be worried.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I like the pacing. I like how it's going so far.
Yeah.
The 5, watching him crack the safe was really cool. I thought that was getting that kind of like zooming in on the tumblers and everything. I thought that was really neat.
And I think for fans like you who are kind of watching this show but didn't watch the original Netflix show, I think him returning the jewel and everything and not just Because I mean, lawyers make money. Even the ones that fight for you, they usually pay off their debts. They try to make money. And in that situation, he could have easily counted that as a legal fee or something. He could have called that a Daredevil fee and just, went and got a Daredevil lair like Batman or something.
He's there looking for money for the firm, isn't he?
Yeah, he literally needs the money.
So he could have even he could have even sold.
I forgot about that part, but yeah, exactly. Thank you. So they're showing you that he's, even though his reverend father, not really his father, but more of his father figure once his dad died, he was raised in an orphanage as like Catholics. That guy sacrificed his life for Matt, right? Mm-hmm. He found out his mom was a nun that had been there pretty much nearby the whole time. But like they never wanted it to get out that she had a kid. So like his upbringing just very messy. Yeah. But he's very much tied to the religion, tied to those tenets of like, that's what kind of motivates him. You hear the prayer he's doing. That's the prayer for lawyers. I can't remember the exact saint that he's mimicking there. I'm pretty much switching to episode 6 right now, by the way.
Yeah. No, yep. You're talking about the prayer he was doing when his girlfriend walks in and she's like, "You pray still?"
Mm-hmm. He's saying a prayer. He's saying a prayer for justice, I believe is what it is.
No.
You tell me a little bit more about that episode and I'll double check that.
About 6?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we finally got to see more Muse, which was exciting and pretty terrifying. They let Fisk know a little more about what was going on, right? They told him about the blood being used for the paintings.
Yeah.
That was this episode, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. He's in on it. Now it's out. It's out, but it's not out because Fisk makes the decision to keep it on a need-to-know basis. Even though people are being taken and used as art, he doesn't want to warn people that Muse is doing this, which is like, you see, they show you right there what's going to happen. 2 people walk up because they think this is like some edgy person. Not
the girls. Yep. The Fisk has assembled this like task force as well. That he's even talked with Commissioner. Oh shoot, the police commissioner's name's escaping me right now.
It's the prayer is called the Litany of St. Ives.
Okay, gotcha.
It says everything about Matt's dual profession as a lawyer and Avenger and his inner conflict in compromising justice and religion.
Gotcha. Okay.
Soapopera.com of all places had that. I don't understand what their new angle is, but shout out.
Something that occurred to me actually during 5 real quick to revisit that was when he was, since that's Kamala Khan's dad and all that, and then he's also met Peter and Aunt May. I know, unfortunately, she's gone now, but I'm wondering if we're ever going to get a little arc where Matt is kind of shepherding around some of these children, like Peter and Kamala, like kind of, you've seen Stranger Things, how like Steve has to kind of play babysitter. Like it'd be funny if like Daredevil ends up having to kind of play babysitter with some of these younger heroes in some situation, just because he knows their families and everything now. He would feel kind of that like pull to make sure they're okay.
Is it crazy to say that Spider-Man may not be in the new Avengers movies?
I think that is crazy to say. Yes, I think he'll be in there.
Because they had a Spider-Man movie scheduled between them. So I think it's not crazy to say that he would at least miss the first one, because the way they left that character, I guess now spoilers for Spider-Man movies.
Marvel spoilers.
Spoilers in general, yes.
Yeah.
That they left it where nobody knows who the hell he is. He doesn't have friends. And he's just like living in a brick apartment, Tobey Maguire style, fighting street level crime. Tony Stark's dead. I think after somebody that looks like Tony Stark does something super crazy, he might show up as like the relief wave,
Yeah.
But
kind of like the portals in Endgame.
So, exactly, but probably more nuanced, because you can't just portal your way out of everything.
Right.
So, but I say that to say this, that I don't know if Daredevil and Spider-Man is a street level guy now, they say, but we haven't seen him do it yet at all or be that. So they wanted to take that in a more street level situation in 4, but I think to serve the multiverse saga and keep the franchise alive, they might have to pivot, and we may not see street level Spider-Man until 5.
Maybe.
But Daredevil may never leave street level is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I think Spider-Man is going to be a primary fixture for the next several years in the MCU.
Do you think it's safe to say that? Do you think it's safe to say that it would be easier to just use Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and not try to make the general audience like She-Hulk.
Yeah. They should be using Deadpool. Deadpool will also absolutely be in those Avengers movies.
I'm seeing a lot of rumors that She-Hulk will be heavily used.
I mean, maybe she will, whatever. But Deadpool it needs to be in like everything he can now.
Yeah, until Ryan Reynolds is like, I'm too old.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that was my final thought on 5. I just remember thinking it'd be funny if he turns into like the Steve of Stranger Things of this universe.
Well, we're seeing a lot of things set up in episode 6, right?
Yeah, 6 was pretty cool. Like, so yeah, I was saying he's getting in this task force together. Police commissioner. Do you remember his name? That's where I left off. I can't remember the commissioner's name.
I can't remember the commissioner's name, but yeah.
But anyway,
he hates Fisk.
They were in the office together talking about this task force. He's approving overtime. Like, it's, not that they're seeing eye to eye on everything now, but like this is kind of a joint effort that is technically.
Well, he's being blackmailed. He's being blackmailed. So,
right. Well,
joint
but it, I guess, is technically on the up and up, in the eyes of the public anyway. On the eyes of the public. So it's going to be interesting because now we're going to have like vigilante hunters out there, and he's going to be able to say like, yeah, look at this guy who's using human blood to do art. That's why I have to do this. Like,
when he found the worst of the worst, the cops that are almost about to get fired. He's basically trying to find the middle ground between what he's used to and where he is. And I think in the comics, his anti-vigilante task force is eventually just a bunch of like bad guys who he says got a good rap, and now they're the ones you can trust.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it escalates. Like, maybe this is the beginning.
Right.
And the reason they reshot it is they escalate as who would come in? I mean, getting Bullseye out of jail is probably number one among it. He would smear campaign Foggy's name and get Bullseye out of jail. And then you've already seen the Daredevil dam has broken.
Definitely. Yeah.
So he's back in costume.
Yep. He's already mentioned some dude running around dressed like a spider.
Do you think we're going to see, what is more likely? We see the girl he saved from Muse turn into White Tiger and come back with some sort of vengeance because
Riola's niece.
Yeah. From the way they were talking about that amulet, it sounds like she doesn't need to wait to bulk up too much. It like comes with it. You put it on.
It has the mystic powers.
It doesn't make you bulletproof in the head.
No.
That's been clear. They made that clear.
We proved that.
Take that amulet. I guess it's around the neck. That's too high. You got to wear a helmet.
But so speaking of her, we got to see Matt, go on this rescue mission. She came.
Well, he had to make the opposite choice from Foggy immediately. He had to say, "I came here to save this girl. I can't let her die just to save the city." And like after letting Foggy die, just to try to stop Bullseye, who has been like, if you hadn't seen the original show, the way they left it in the last season, Bullseye was like kind of starting to be obsessed with Karen. And obviously the way that Karen and Daredevil left things off in episode 1, when she walked away, left the horn, they've never gotten the timing right on something that could have possibly been like, she knows all about his secret life. It'd be pretty, I don't know if superheroes think like normal people, but it's like, it seems like it'd be hard to get close to people with that hobby, brother.
Could be.
What about the fight scenes?
I was a little puzzled by one of the. I'll talk about, I guess, Daredevil's big one first against Muse. I just kind of expected him to really clean up. I didn't think Muse would know how to fight. Is Muse supposed to be trained in martial arts? Like, most of his movements were kind of flailing around, but like, just we've seen Matt. I mean, Matt knows what the hell he's doing. I thought that was going to be kind of a cleaner, easier way to go about things. Like, eventually he kind of got him in the predicament, like you said, where it's either he's going to save, the Riola girl or stop Muse, and he chose to save the person, which, is the noble decision. But like, how did he even get to that point? That's I was wondering that.
Well, let's see. Muse's powers and abilities. Moves at an inhuman pace, difficult to track and hit, can scale walls, evade capture, escape from tight situations with ease. So just really nimble.
He's just slippery.
This makes him a serious challenge for Daredevil, whose combat style relies heavily on counterattacks and reading opponents' movements.
Okay, so because he's untrained, actually. Because he's like, I don't know what you're doing. I can't. Okay, I got it.
He has shown the ability to take significant damage and keep going, even when beaten down. Muse doesn't seem to slow down as much as an average human would. Near superhuman reflexes, psychotic creativity.
That's for sure.
No detectable heartbeat, possibly no pain response. So that would be
crazy. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, so he gets away, which is obviously going to be a problem. And I feel like there's going to start to be people in Matt's life that start becoming, targets of Muse's.
Yeah, because Daredevil wasn't on Muse's radar until now, because Kingpin was.
Yeah.
It's interesting, the whole idea, and I haven't done the scientific research, but is there any scientific backing, I wonder, to the idea?
What they were talking with the blood and the epoxy and stuff?
Yeah, the blood and the epoxy.
I'm not sure, honestly. You're going to get put on a list. Oh, man. But no, I mean, they did. They brought, I think so. Not my industry. I'm kind of talking out my ass there. But yeah, they did. They were explaining, why they couldn't wash this stuff off. It was because of the way he was using his victim's blood to mix in with the resin and the epoxy, and for whatever reason, that made it impossible to wash. Whether or not that's actually true, I don't know.
It says, so according to our AI producer, using blood as a permanent medium for graffiti, as Muse does, is scientifically problematic.
While also blood, just problematic.
It's just regularly. It's just problematic.
Yeah.
While blood can be used as a paint-like substance, it doesn't have the qualities of a durable pigment or a proper binding agent like modern paints.
Also, are you okay?
It's also okay. It knows I'm talking about Daredevil.
Yeah, I know.
Hopefully.
But yeah, so that was, anything else on the Matt and Muse fight that you wanted to bring up? I thought it was pretty cool. I like his lair. His lair's creepy.
I really don't want them to chop out the entire gallery of Daredevil bad guys in one season. And they've already got Bullseye in jail, so that keeps him on the board.
That's true. And now we've got Muse, I guess, on the run right now. He's probably not coming back to that layer, I wouldn't think.
You wouldn't think. Would Daredevil even tell the police about it?
That's a good question. Yeah. I don't know. Hard to trust them now, right?
Muse might just turn them into a painting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Police mural. That everyone hates Daredevil, and the Kingpin says, how come he did this to our brave police officers?
Speaking of Kingpin, we got a pretty cool Fisk Kingpin fight, whatever you want to call him. Fisk is still what I'll call him right now.
I heard a great breakdown of this. So when we've seen this before, he always gives a weapon to them before he fights them. Like he wants an even battle.
Cool. That was cool.
But by giving Adam that weapon, he knew how he was going to be attacked. He knew it would be. So
momentum, heavy swings. Yep.
And he knew Adam's strength level. He's had him there in a cage. Like he wanted it to feel like a fair fight, but if you really look at it, it's not a fair fight.
It's almost like he loaded it even more.
And it's straight out of the comics, where Kingpin would always be challenging large amounts of people just to fight him, just to prove how strong he was. Like that's what he always wanted to do, is just to prove how strong he was. It was a cool scene,
man. Like the way he was just ragdolling Adam around. The throw into the ceiling was crazy. That was crazy.
I really like the Daredevil fight too, where he was like, you got the Billy Club? You've got the and then you got to let him go. It was good that they kind of layered those fights. So it was interesting that I just still don't understand why they wouldn't have released episode 5 closer to actual St. Patrick's Day. You would think that with streaming,
what a missed opportunity.
Yeah. With streaming, why not just maybe there's probably a money reason I don't understand, but release it the week before. I don't know.
Yeah.
Waited a while.
It seemed, I guess the only plot reason was the city was busy. It was hard to get the hostages or the robbers what they were demanding. Like otherwise, the fact that it was St. Patty's didn't matter. Like she was like, it's kind of the theme. Cops are drunk. Like like the cops are drunk and the streets are busy. Like, yeah, it mattered for the plot for that.
It was an Irish gang on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, it is an Irish gang. Yeah. I forgot that it's an
gang.
Irish gang. Yeah.
And he's Murdoch. He's Irish. He's Catholic. And St. Patrick's Day has a very different meaning over in Ireland and places like that. It's more of a holier day.
Speaking of the gang, how about the dude coming into Fisk's office and saying, like, I'm not paying this debt? Like,
that's interesting, and he put a tax on it. So, like, he's starting to see how his lives are bleeding together. You can't live two lives.
Yep. So, what do you think's going to happen with that? Is that guy going to pay that debt? Is that guy going to end up dead? Like,
he wanted chaos. He wanted to see who would rise to the top. So we will see. Is that the same guy from the bank robbery?
I don't think so. I think it's the same gang, but I don't think it's the same guy.
Oh, yeah, because the guy from the bank robbery was a cop. He put on his cop outfit and walked right out.
Yeah, well, he dressed as a cop at the end, yeah.
Dressed as? No, I think he was a cop, yeah.
Oh, that's one of the dirty cops?
I think that's what they were saying. How else would you get a convincing enough cop costume together, you know?
I mean, I kind of was just willing to accept that.
I think what they were saying is that, like, some of them, their plan was never to get caught. Their plan was to sneak away because no one else they were working with knew they were also cops.
Did you think Detective Kim's joke was actually funny? Because I did.
Which one?
The joke that he had her. He was like, if you can make me laugh, I'll give you, 30 minutes or whatever to not kill a hostage. And she had to come up with a joke. She was like, does anyone know a joke? Like, he wants to hear a joke.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember the joke. I don't remember laughing a lot to it.
I'm going to not do a great job, but it was like, and there was a leprechaun and a priest. The priest was talking to the leprechaun. He found at the end of the rainbow. And the leprechaun was like, are there any nuns in your congregation? Any like leprechaun nuns in your congregation? And he was like, no, there's no leprechaun nuns. And the leprechaun was like, blimey, I just fucked a penguin.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Okay.
I didn't tell it very well, but that's the general gist of it, and it made me laugh. I thought it was really funny. Go look it up if you forgot it. It is hilarious.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Anyway, thought the episodes were a lot of fun. The Fisk fight, that's what we were on. Yeah, brutal. But they do a good job making us appreciate his brutality.
Yeah, they do. Don't they?
Yeah. So we've got, obviously, like you said, he's kind of, you're starting to see him start to feel a little unhinged too, especially when they were talking about that money and he was adding that tax. You could see like his lips quivering a little bit. Like he's clearly over like these going to read to children, stuff like that. Like, yeah, he's even said as much. So I don't know. Things are starting to come to a head.
There's got to be some sort of movement too with his love interest, who's also the therapist for the Kingpin. That's got to come to a head at some point this season.
And who is most likely communicating with Muse as a potential client. He got her phone number, her email address.
Wait, what?
Earlier episode, he was at the book signing and he walked up and said, "Hey, I'm struggling right now. Like, I could really use someone to talk to." And
that was Muse?
That's the idea. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
That's your idea?
Yeah, and so I'm imagining that's going to start to be a problem for Matt.
Man, that would be wild.
Yeah, just this web is just going to get more and more complicated.
Yeah, and you can't even see.
Yeah.
Difficult. I'm looking forward to the rest of Daredevil Born Again. I'm lukewarm excited for Doomsday. When does Doomsday come out?
Next May, right? Or what's the next movie? There is a May movie.
May 1st of next May.
There's a May movie this year though that we get. Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts is this May.
Oh, yeah.
We should see Captain America, huh?
At
this point, it's going to be Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's on there. It's been on there. I'll tell you what.
Wait, it's actually on there already?
Miss Marvel?
No, Captain America.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking about Miss Marvel. I was like, I didn't watch.
I've seen Miss Marvel. Yeah.
Captain America's not on there yet. No, but it will be.
I didn't think so. Yeah. I
heard
my point was I think we've missed our window to see it in theaters.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, I don't want to see it in theaters. Like, lukewarm greeting for it. I'll just wait till it comes out.
Do you think, to put a bow, maybe, unless you have more to talk about, but just to add to the Daredevil conversation for the rest of the season, do you think we're going to get like a big cameo? Like maybe not necessarily Spider-Man, but I mean, that'd be cool. But like, do you think there's going to be any sort of cameo that people are going to be like, oh my gosh?
Well, let's see. Echo is an easy one.
I mean like a real like shocker.
Just
know?
That was me putting a bow on our Echo conversation earlier. Just to prove that your reaction just now says everything about the show.
Yeah.
Who else could just show up in Daredevil? Well, we already had the Punisher. If he came back in the last couple episodes, Karen Page came back, Bullseye.
I'm thinking to tie him into kind of where we've been in the greater MCU.
Kamala Khan, I guess, is like obviously on the horizon
that kind
now.
Of makes sense. So then
it feels like we're not going that way.
Yeah.
What about Miles Morales? What if they introduced Miles?
You know, that could be cool because they're in New York. You know, his father's supposed to be, you know, in the on the force. I can't remember. Like it's always in some capacity that his father's a police officer or a captain or a lieutenant or whatever. His mother, I think, is usually some sort of like educator. So I mean, yeah, there would be avenues to introduce the Morales family. I think that actually that might be a good shout, dude.
They already got mentioned in the court hearings. They mentioned his uncle.
That's right. Yep.
So that could be on the horizon.
There's a couple of breadcrumbs that have been in the MCU for a while. I mean, we've seen who did Donald Glover play?
He played. I think he kind of played the bad guy from the Into the Spider-Verse.
Was he the uncle?
I think
because he was like my nephew. I want to get these guns off the street because I got a nephew out here. Something like that.
Yeah.
So the Morales, the Morales family does exist. So it would be cool. And I mean, the Spider-Verse movies have had just crazy amounts of success. The character Miles Morales is widely accepted in the media already. Like he's part of the video games now. He's part of the kids shows. So
I think the easier answer is though, like, do they have the balls to do She-Hulk? Because Daredevil was in She-Hulk. So
I think it might be a little too risky because of the reception. Because the reception for She-Hulk was pretty poor. I don't know if they would want to put that in Daredevil.
Yeah, maybe, but she's a lawyer, and I don't know if they sleep together in that show or not. Because I didn't watch all of it.
You know, obviously, I don't think Samuel L. Jackson's going to show up and be like, "Hey, I'm putting together a team," but like something to kind of bring Daredevil into the greater conversation. Or do you think they won't do that?
I think it's more likely you get more shout outs from the old Netflix show because they want to keep Daredevil grounded and they want to keep it focused on New York.
Yeah.
I could see maybe a Fantastic Four bleed over if that was something that was already established, or X-Men, but they aren't. So you can't do that. I think that Jessica Jones is really likely. Luke Cage, Iron Fist is on the outside looking in my opinion. But like all these heroes that he's dealt with before, people he's met before. I mean, Luke Cage is bulletproof. I bet that could come in handy.
Probably.
Jessica Jones is freakishly strong, like
right.
So, and in
the
original, in their Netflix shows after they spun off from Daredevil, like that's how you meet Luke Cage is in the Jessica Jones show. They're like hooking up,
right.
So it was in a very adult series, but I think honestly they'll keep it very Daredevil, and we'll see some of the Daredevil people come back. But you know what? I wouldn't have said that you were going to see Kamala Khan's uncle or no dad either. So
and a Miss Marvel Funko. Well,
they like to do that. They like to try to keep it connected now with some of these bit players. Like I was seeing all the things that Wong has been in to try to make everything feel connected. Like, Wong was in it, so it's part of the MCU. Like,
one other quick question I had, or quick thought I guess I had, when they were mentioning Kamala Khan and everything, I was like, wait a second, New York City bank robbery, Spider-Man. What? Why isn't he here? This feels like the thing he would be doing right now.
He might have had something going on in his life. He might have not been. Well, he's more in Brooklyn, right? Did he get back to
I guess
Brooklyn?
It is a real big city. Yeah.
They're now, they made a point to point out that they're not in Hell's Kitchen anymore, that everybody's in Manhattan because it's Mayor Fisk. So they're in that section, not necessarily where your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is.
That just crossed my mind. No, I was like, this is kind of like his thing now, right?
Well, I mean, you could also be like, why is the mayor not talking about doing anything about the giant statue that's frozen over the earth that America apparently is going to addressed, but we didn't see it.
We got to see that.
So that is it for the Wit and Grit podcast. If you were looking for Elite 8 bets, if the games haven't already happened, we were both leaning on the favorites. We would do a money line parlay.
Yeah, I think the 1 seeds. Yep.
I think I believe in it less than my ones yesterday. So just to make sure I don't go 50-50, I'm going to do about 3/4 of a unit on today's compared to yesterday's. That way I can keep saying it was successful.
Good luck with anything you guys are putting out there.
Yep. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I got to get to the rest of it. That's 1-800-426-2537, or you can visit ncpgambling.org. In Virginia, call 1-888-532-3500, or visit vacpg.org. North Carolina, call 1-877-718-5543, or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Follow me on Picket or Action Network at Ian Price. More importantly, you can follow us both on Twitter if you want to actually talk to us, or X as they call it, at Hammered Ian. He is at Sean Dizer. Spell it for him, Sean.
That's SEANDUISER.
Where else can they find Hammer Truck Productions?
There's several places, and the links are on the website, hammertruckproductions.com.
YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Blue Sky. You can find us on all of those pretty much. And our website that Sean is beefing up, you can find the latest edition of the podcast on the website. Look for big announcements there.
Yep, we'll keep working on that and keep letting you guys know as updates come out for it if you care.
Yep, and on the horizon, we're going to be doing more F1 coverage as I get more of a grip on it, and Sean gets to share more storylines like the one we just talked about, as well as NFL futures season.
Maybe a little bit of W.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of W. We might want to wait till after the draft for the NFL, but we might see some edges.
Sometimes
now.
We can't resist. The Giants are going to do something that we're going to have to talk about.
I heard something juicy with another team in that division, and it would mean winning it. And I don't mean the Eagles or the Giants.
Did we just tease next episode?
Dun, dun, dun. I got to hit the thing so you can say the thing.
See you, everybody.